Remember,
It's always a great show. Tonight's it's a big show because we got big game James Coleman on the line with fifth quarter college football, and also, of course, Jason Parker from Chop Chat. Who?
Fine.
James Park.
It's fine. I still have love for the Chop Chat family. Still
Okay.
got love for them.
All
Go
right.
to Chop Chat if you want your FSU stuff. If you're in South Florida and you want to watch the news, watch NBC6. That's all I'm saying.
Habits don't die easily. I've done that to about 3 guests this week. I've identified them incorrectly based on their former platform. So much love for the Chop Chat family. There it is. But Jason Parker with NBC6, of course, where you've been employed for how long?
It'll be 4 years in June.
Okay, 4 years in June there at NBC6. Again, big game James Coleman from fifth quarter college football. And we cannot forget Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day.
Can't forget it. And I'm only here for 30 minutes, sadly.
30 minutes, boy.
Now,
bad.
I do have to check something. I have to check now if I get an extra vacation day with the 4th year, because I think we might have some more vacation. I may need to take a few more games on the schedule that I might need to be a little drunk for in, let's say, I don't know, 2022 on the first week of September or something. I don't know.
I could make it. I've got a 5th week of vacation this year.
Congratulations.
Added on.
Can you send it down my way? That'd be great.
No, I don't do that. I need all my vacation. Believe me, I got things going on in my life that needs vacation time. All right. I didn't identify myself. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Lock it in right here. All right. Let's talk about playing LSU. You wouldn't have wanted to do it this year, that's for sure. But maybe Mike Norvell will have the boys prepped by 2022 to take on the Tigers. As James let us know before we started here live, this one's been talked about in regards to a series signing for quite a few months, but it's nice to have it official and ready to go, and we know where the games are going to be played. So, big game. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I think people have to understand the fiscal things about this and why it's not a home and home. Having it the payday that both teams are going to be able to get without having any real cost associated with it are going to be phenomenal for it. When we look at what happened with Florida and the University of Miami at Camping World Stadium at the beginning of the year, the money that they were able to receive was a huge influx into their programs. Playing at LSU in a battleground state, which is Louisiana, that's very fertile, is going to be really, really good, especially that New Orleans area. For you to be able to be there and be able to have a presence is always something that's good. And when they reciprocated and bring it to Orlando, Camping World Stadium will have some major renovations that would have already been taking place, which would make the experience so much better. And what you hope is that the trajectory of LSU and what they've meant since I would say since at least the 2000s would be a great game. Hopefully FSU will be back. When you look at where LSU was 3 years ago, losing to Troy, Ed Orgeron possibly being people firing him before he even got it started, and where they ended this season as the national champions, that should give Florida State fans some hope with the Norvell era. Hopefully, you can get things turned around in these next 3 years and be competitive and have a really, really good game. FSU has a really good record, better than most against the SEC, and I think we got like 4 or 6 straight against LSU historically, which means absolutely nothing. But at the same time, we have no fear of the SEC or playing them. But I think that game will be amazing. The atmosphere will be amazing. Bourbon Street. I'm going to try to go to New Orleans and leave with my sanity and more money in my pocket than the previous 3 trips that I've gone there. Because when I was 8, it didn't work. I spent all my money at the Discovery Zone, which was preparing me for gambling. When I was 18 for the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, I left broke and we lost. And when I played in New Orleans, I ate a bunch of beignets, drank coffee, drank a lot of Hurricanes, and ended up getting cut. So hopefully this time when I go, I'll have a better experience.
James, I'm going to get you so wasted in 2 years when we were there. It's just going to be over. You're going to leave with no money. I'm telling you right now, you're going to leave with no money. Yeah, I'll leave you with enough clothes on your back so that way you can get back to Jacksonville. But other than that, you're screwed. I'm just letting you know
If you've never been to one of my tailgates, I
a copious
amount of alcohol.
Well, I'm just going to say this. One of the three of us will be arrested in New Orleans. I'm just guaranteeing it. It's going to happen. One of the three of us. I vote Logan just because he's young.
Then I'll do what?
Younger.
Then I'll do what?
He doesn't have any 401k. I vote Logan should get arrested on this one, but that's just me.
Whoa. I need to graduate first. Let me graduate first.
You'll graduate it's 2022. You should graduate by then. I hope you can graduate.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping for.
But touching on what James said, I think James said,
I can already tell it's going to be one of those shows, so I'm kicking back here. Go to it, Jason.
I was just going to say, we talked about this a little bit before, and I would love to have seen it be in one game in Baton Rouge, one game in Tallahassee. If you've ever had a chance to go to a game in Tiger Stadium at night, it is an electric atmosphere, just like Go Campbell packed. When it's a packed house, is an electric atmosphere as well. So in a perfect world, we'd love to have it like the Alabama series, like the Georgia series, but James hit the nail on the head. It's money. We're going to be making a crap load of money going to New Orleans. LSU is going to be making a crap load of money coming to Orlando. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be an electric atmosphere in New Orleans. I love how both games are on Sunday nights. So that means it's going to be the primetime national ABC game. So it's going to be the perfect atmosphere. It's going to be an amazing night, both the games in the spotlight. I think there's a hesitation from some people, both in the FSU fan base and the hater fan base, our Miami and Florida fans who'd love to chime in here, are going to say, oh, you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed. You're going to get killed. That's because they're judging off the fact that LSU had this great 2019 season, 15-0 national champions. That is not going to be the same LSU team we're going to see in 2 seasons. Is LSU still going to be a very good team? Yes. Will Ed Orgeron still be a very good coach? Absolutely. But by that point, it'll be year 3, Mike Norvell era. I think FSU is going to be in a much better state than they are right now than they have been over the last 3 seasons. And I would not be surprised to see Florida State come out on top in New Orleans come September 4th of 2022.
Whoa, wow. Bold stand from far.
Hot takes here on
Logan. Is that really bold saying I will not be surprised if such and such happens? That means if Florida State wins, I will say, hey, I picked it. If LSU wins, of course, I just said I wouldn't be surprised.
Logan, that's why you're going to be the one who got voted to get arrested. All right, we voted.
Yeah, exactly.
2-0. Sorry.
Logan needs to talk here. He's only got a half hour with us.
Well, I was going to say everybody kind of noted on all of it from what I was thinking, but I do think the home and home thing, a lot of fans are not so happy about that. I would like to go. I've never been to the Tiger Stadium, never been to LSU's games, and I've, of course, would love them to come here in Tallahassee. I think hopefully by then, like you guys said, Norvell and FSU will actually make it a decent game and make it a game for fans to be excited about. But I get to go to Baton Rouge. I would love. I've never been. What is it called? Mercedes Stadium. Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
I've never been there. And it is what it is. I think also a lot of it money-wise going to local businesses helps out a few people. I know there's some people not so happy about it. It makes sense. But I think this is a good matchup. I hope by then Coach O versus Coach Norvell will create a good matchup for those 2 years, 2022 and 2023.
And I'm just going to say that's after my birthday weekend. That's going to be technically my first weekend of my birthday time. So someone's getting in trouble. Someone's going to the hospital. Somebody's getting arrested.
So I think we're leading all this up to you being in that situation.
Damn it. All right.
I have never been to New Orleans. Never.
I've only been once. I didn't like it that much, to be honest. But I also wasn't 21 then.
I'm still hungover from the last time I was in New Orleans, and that was in 2009.
That's what our viewers often say.
As they should. I literally got so hammered because it was also my birthday. We went there for a Dolphins preseason game. The station I was working for at the time was covered it, and somebody discovered it was my birthday, and I got so we'll just say inebriated. This is a word. Yeah, that was a good time.
Jason, our audience, of course, tunes in to hear about your exploits.
They should. I could write a book about it.
I think you should.
Can we also?
I could write a pamphlet maybe about mine. But what is the reason? One of you guys talked about the reason why these are off-campus games.
Money.
Oh, it's purely money. And what happens is essentially, well, I can speak for the state of Florida. What happens is we have the Florida Sports Council, and their job is to figure out how to bring more money into the state of Florida and how to make people more money. So what happens, and to make certain cities money. So they essentially and they helped in conjunction with a group that was similar in Louisiana to be able to help bring this game. There's another game that they are working on between Texas and Ohio State, trying to get them in Tampa. That would be our area that we would have it around during the same time. So we have another out of conference major matchup that we're going to try to get. But you get essentially you sell it, and then they get a chance to make the money on the advertisers and the tickets. They did something similar for FSU with Boise. Obviously, a hurricane messed that up. But what they did was they pretty much gave Florida State downtown Jacksonville, between parking, the tickets, the stadium. They had the first rights to make as much money. So the school gets opportunity to make more money than what they would normally be able to make. As well as in the state of Florida, we have the tax credit that goes to the hotels. So you get if you're guaranteeing X amount of rooms, you get actually a kickback. So those are a lot of things that come into it. So they're able to guarantee. I think I forgot what the number that my man was telling me today that Florida and Miami made, but I believe it was over 8 million. So I mean, and when you look at what you would make at a home game of that capacity, could you probably make the same amount? But yeah, but you still got to pay for security. You still got to pay for the concessions cleanup. You still have to pay for a bunch of other things that you don't have to pay for when it comes to these games. So it's purely money and the opportunity to market. ESPN can bring more people into these larger cities, these larger areas, so that you get more round the clock coverage. So it's a really good opportunity for your school. But like Logan did say, you do take away from the magic of playing in Tiger Stadium. Like a lot of us have never been there, and a lot of people would like to see what Doak. You got two universities that have they're probably top 25 bucket list stadiums that you would want to go see before you die. But I could definitely, I'm gonna be honest with you. A hotel in New Orleans during that time and a hotel in Orlando during that time are well worth the me traveling, because a hotel in Tallahassee for any game for Sanford is $450 for Red Roof Inn. No offense to Red Roof Inn, but if I'm paying $450 for a hotel, I kind of want to stay in something a little bit nicer.
The La Quinta is a lovely place. The La Quinta on Appalachian Parkway. It's a lovely place. There's one on Monroe. It's lovely right there. Now, quick question for James, real quick, though. This is now going to be the second opener. We had the Ole Miss game in 2016 that was played in Orlando. Right. We mentioned the Boise State game played in Jacksonville. You and I grew up in an era when Florida State played in Orlando. They played in Jacksonville. They played down here in what's now Hard Rock Stadium when they played Maryland there in the 96 season. Is Orlando going to be the new destination? Is that the new destination spot? And if so, why? I mean, I'd love to see them play down here. I'd love to see them play in Tampa, Jacksonville, all over the place if they're going to do this. But is Orlando kind of going to be the push to play these games more inside Camping World Stadium?
I think that's what they want to do. Again, with the renovations in Orlando, not having obviously you have UCF, but not having a traditional power, not having an NFL team, not having a lot of other stuff. I mean, they're trying to bring more things to come to Camping World Stadium to bring more revenue to that city. Plus, Orlando is one of those destination cities that people outside of the state of Florida look at. Obviously, you have Mickey, you have Universal Studios, you have a ton of different things that you can do, that you can market to be able to attract bigger teams or bigger events. So as they make those upgrades and the renovations, they're going to want to obviously recoup on their investment for that. But Tampa will be another one, and they're going to probably start trying to do some things to Raymond James Stadium as well. I think it's just about trying to, from as far as the business side, that's bigger than football, which is this is just stuff that intrigues me. So I apologize. I'm sure your fans are probably bored as hell right now, Mark, but I like making money, so money intrigues me. But they're going to try to showcase the bigger areas in the state of Florida, not just Miami, but you have Orlando, Tampa, Miami. You're also going to see where this is Orlando's chance to show that we can actually host a national championship down the road. Tampa's going to get that opportunity to host a playoff game. Miami gets their opportunity to host Super Bowls and things of that nature. So this is kind of what the state of Florida is trying to do from a overall revenue budget, and a public school's got to, we have to just play our part. Because at the end of the day, outside of football, we get a lot of money from the state for our prestigious university.
James,
Wait.
you know what I was focused on that entire time? I was just trying to get out a tweet to promote the show, and I could not find your Twitter handle the entire time. I was trying every combination that I could figure out.
Underscore big. There was some
Oh,
jerk
I
named
got
Big
it.
Game.
I finally
Okay.
got it.
All right.
But,
Some jerk named Big Game James 36 was killed on Twitter. I don't know what that guy did. He deserved every punishment he gets. I can't vouch for him because all I know is Big Game James underscore 36 has been a stellar citizen since he started his Twitter account late in 2019.
As G Jobs reminds us here, we got the Voice of College Football. We've got our Florida State Seminoles live show every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, as Logan will remind you before he leaves, thumbs up to like the video. And these guys are doing a tremendous job of recovering us from what was the worst open in the history of college football broadcasting by me.
James just
trying to.
James just said there's other cities in the state of Florida outside of Miami. I did not know this. There's
shocking to you?
South Florida. I mean, I know there's Tallahassee, but I kind of just pass out when I'm on the turnpike. I mean, it's not good that I still just kind of pass out the way.
You just got to be careful on 75 because if you overshoot it, you go into Hogtown, and you don't want to be around slopping pigs.
I just throw up one digit on my hand whenever I'm driving through, right from about exit 384, just straight up for about 10 minutes.
And for historical sense, that was Gainesville's original name. I did not make that up. That was the original name was Hogtown. So just let people know that. I like to educate.
But enough about the women who go to the University of Florida. Let's move on and talk about FSU.
The only route I remember from my stay in Florida a couple weeks ago was Route 95, of course, which goes all the way up the coast, all the way to Maine. But
Interstate.
Oh my, sweet Jesus!
Interstate. God, you sound like my grandfather. Can I get $18 on my birthday? I mean, good Lord.
I followed the GPS.
There we go.
What can I do?
Yeah, James, he was in Vero Beach, and he didn't stop by, say hi to any of us. He didn't do a live show with any of us. He was in our state.
You weren't that far. Well, actually, I wouldn't have been. I was in Atlanta.
That's fine.
I was on vacation.
That's fine, Mark. We were here working, slaving over.
Yeah, these boys have carried 2 shows for me.
James, me and you talked a little while back, and I think you noted on earlier. I don't know if anybody else heard it, but there's still another big matchup kind of still in the works trying to get done, correct?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and
we're going to always be that. We're going to be that guinea pig. That's going to. Bottom line is, put it like this: Labor Day, just be prepared to travel somewhere if you're an FSU fan for like the next decade. Like, just be prepared.
Which
we did that when I was in college with Miami. It's cool, but it also sucks because, like, especially when you're playing a team as big as LSU, or if it's Alabama. I don't want to say West Virginia. I don't really know what West Virginia has. I got to go do my research coming this season. But you spend all the offseason trying to prepare for this game, and then the game is over, and then now all of a sudden you're like, what the hell do we do now? And now, oh, snap, Stanford's here. And next thing you know, they can, I don't know if this Stanford has the quarterback that they had that's in the NFL, but still, you want to respect all. These guys aren't disciplined enough to, like, even be able to have these privileges right now. So, like, to play all that, get all that pomp and circumstance coming with the first game, and then turn around and have the rest of the season, I'd rather just have a regular ass game.
How do you guys feel about the approach Florida State takes to scheduling? Because you got to play Florida. So, most teams across the country, they bring in the one big game, and then they're like, okay, we're good. We're going to schedule a bunch of group of fives, a bunch of FCS for the other, round out the 4 non-conference games. But for you guys are pinned down to Florida already. They're a top 10 team right now. And then you go grab an LSU or somebody like that. And James is talking about Texas and Ohio State. That makes for a rough schedule.
But Florida State has always taken that approach. You go back to the early era of the Valley Mountain era, there was the Murderers Row schedule where they played, I believe it was Nebraska, Pitt, Ohio State, Arizona State, and I think it was Notre Dame. 5 straight road games in 1981. They've always had that philosophy. Even in the years when before Miami joined the ACC, and you had Miami and Florida as your two of your non-conference games every year. The other game was either Notre Dame, it was USC, BYU when Lavelle Edwards was there, and they were a team that was a ranked team every year. So Florida State has never shied away from playing a respectable schedule every single year. And now you have both the ACC play where you've got Clemson, who is played in the national championship game now 2 straight seasons and is one of the better teams in college football now. So the ACC is a lot more relevant than it was when Florida State joins. Now you have this non-conference schedule. Florida State has never shied away from how should I put this nicely? They've never said no to a nice paycheck. We'll just leave it at that. And
Right.
for first, that's the way Florida State football has always been, and that's
need it right now too. Need it right now too.
Yeah.
You boys are being touted by
to
Jesse Sullivan and Jay Jobs as being the most entertaining and the most fun show I do.
Well,
no, there we go. I appreciate that.
It's better than that Virginia Tech show you did after your last show. But that's
we gotta, like, the thing is right now, and why I like it is we've lost a lot of the luster that made Florida State what Florida State was in the last 4 years, and even through the time when we're still getting disrespected. When you look at the I feel old now. It was 2013 national championship team who set all kinds of records, and even 2014 when they went on that 29-game streak where you had to fight to even be considered to be one of the top 4 teams in the nation because of what the conference was. And even though Clemson's gone through similar with the conference being down, but nobody has ever disrespected them to the level in which Florida State has been disrespected. So that anytime, anywhere mentality that Bobby built the program off of, with Coach Norvell coming in and trying to recreate the identity as well as put his own stamp on, I think it's welcome. Let's see what he could do, because it's the way the game is now. If you play, let's say you play at LSU. And you lose, but it's great. And some way, shape, or form, you went out the rest of the season. You're still gonna have an opportunity to be in that playoff because you took a chance, and your schedule is still it's bookend. Like the middle of the season, I think Miami will be improved eventually, but Miami's not what Miami was. So outside of that, when you look at our schedule, are there some teams that are just slightly above average? Yes, but it's not. They don't have the respect that the SEC, the Big Ten, that some of these other conferences teams get. So I think you have to do that, and the more you do that, the more you put yourself on the national scene. And at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and win. Bama does this every other year. I mean, people love to disrespect Saban's schedule, but when you think about what they did, really would set down the downward trend when we played them in Atlanta. And with DeAndre Francois got hurt, they started their season off with a team in Florida State, which was considered a playoff team. And I think I forgot what our rank was, but we were ranked pretty damn high. So you start off like that, and they play their SEC West schedule, play the SEC championship, and they win in the manner what they're supposed to do. So I think Florida State needs to do it. And if you want to walk with the big dogs, you can't piss like a pup, and that's just what it comes down to.
I do have a question for both Logan and James. Logan, we only got 2 minutes left here with you. Florida State has now scheduled series with LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. Sticking with the SEC right now, sticking with the regional, though. Outside of the region, or even if you want to stick in the region, who is the next team you would like to see if you had your way? If you're in charge, who's the team you want to see Florida State schedule a series with? And whether you want it home and home, whether you want it neutral site, whichever you want. Logan, you, and then James, who do you guys want to see FSU schedule next? In a perfect
mine from for a while now, it had been Georgia. I have some family that are Georgia fans, so I had always been hoping for a Georgia game, home and home. If I'm going to think here, it'd probably be somewhere to go travel and go to a game. I know it'd be far, but I think at FSU and just to be out of nowhere, like FSU versus USC would be pretty fun to me, honestly. I used to play video games when I was younger with Reggie Bush on EA Sports. But going over to Cali, I always love going to California, usually every summer. So being able to just go over there to the West Coast for a little bit and visit, I think would be awesome. I think a lot of FSU fans, too, would enjoy that.
Isn't Auburn the closest big-time program to campus?
Yeah. Of the non-Florida schools, yeah.
Yeah.
James, what about you? Yeah. What is your?
I don't want to. I mean, Oklahoma is consistently good. That would be Oklahoma or Texas. Those would be the two teams that I would want to see. There's really not a team I'm not interested in Auburn, and I'll tell you the reason why. There's no disrespect to Auburn. It's just they're hit or miss. Like they're not they're not consistently. They haven't consistently been great. Like but Texas hasn't either. But Texas is one of the more popular programs in NCAA. So that would be great. Whether it's in Austin or whether it's at Texas or whether it's at Jerry's World. I've heard nothing but great things about what Cowboy Stadium looks like. And then again, I would like to see us do Ohio State. But like Logan said, Logan's younger than me, but I grew up seeing FSU play USC and beat the brakes off of them. I know why Kirk Herbstreit hates us. I would hate us too if I was Kirk Herbstreit after what he had to live through when we played Ohio State. But those are the things that I want to see a badass Florida State team go out and dominate. Now, hopefully, again, we'll become badass again. But even if we aren't, again, now that I can travel, now that I cover for the fifth quarter and from my radio show, I would love nothing more than to be able to go to Columbus, Ohio, go to Austin, Texas, go to LA. I've only been out west like a couple of times. That probably would be cool. Go get some In-N-Out burger, or Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles or something like that, and just go hang out. But again, but the way college football is now, we would never play, like Florida State won't play in those stadiums because it's just not fiscally. It's just fiscal. It's not as fiscally beneficial for both teams because when you put that out there, you can go make that money in another NFL stadium and have a better fan experience as well. Hell, the way we're talking, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if Alabama or Georgia was not played at Doak Campbell Stadium.
I think they'll both still end up being played. I think it's going to come to a point where you're looking at almost a decade away from the Georgia series. I think, and we've talked about this, anything can possibly happen over the time. But I think the Georgia series especially will be played because, like Logan said, there's enough of the ties between the programs, the tradition, the fact that Georgia has played inside Doak Campbell before. I think they're going to want to come back for that one. I'm going to tell you, the one that got me is I did not realize that we had never played Texas before. Florida State and Texas have never played in football before. When I was writing for Chop Chat, I did a story about that. That's one game that you look at the history of college football, especially over the last 50 years, and what those two schools have meant to the sport, and those two schools have never played. The other option for me is a Penn State. I would love to see Florida State go up to State College, have them come down to play. They've only played in bowl games before. They've never met in the regular season. So I'm with Logan. I'd love to see us play the different matchups. But also right now, I'd love to see teams that we could beat. I don't think right now that this Florida State team could beat an Ohio State, could beat a LSU, could beat an Alabama. But play a Penn State, play a Texas, play a team that you can get that quality win that you could legitimately beat right now. I think Texas is a team that right now Florida State could handle if they were playing in 2020.
Well, wait, you're basing that on what did you see last season that you think Florida State can beat Texas?
I think Texas right now, I think the Texas team that we saw, especially towards the end of 2020, was a team that had several errors, several flaws. And I think Florida State, this 2019 team, what we saw last season, was a lot better than 2018. And I think that was a lot better than 2017. You and I have argued about this before multiple times on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I think the 2019 Seminoles were just a couple possessions away from being a lot better than what their record is. What their record ended up being, and being 6-7. So that's why I'm saying the Florida State team at the end of the season could have handled, I'm not saying they would have definitely beat Texas, but would have given them a lot better of a game to a Texas team that I thought towards the end of the season was struggling.
I would have been comfortable putting quite a bit of money on Texas in a pick-em game against Florida State last year.
Let's
Not that they would have beaten them for sure. Texas wasn't great. They won 5 games. I get it.
Let's hop back in the time machine. We'll go back and we'll get it done. We'll get Doc Brown in here and we'll get it done.
There you go. All right, let's catch up with some of these comments and questions on the screen. So James was asked from I forget the guy's name, Redbeard, was asked about
I gotta wave
in Jacksonville.
Bye, Logan.
I gotta wave goodbye.
You gotta go?
I gotta remember I said 7:30.
Oh yeah.
Logan,
We know. All right.
Hit that like button. Huh?
That's it.
Hit the like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Help out Mark Rogers. Get the algorithm kicking up for him. Make sure you go subscribe. We got 70 people watching, only 30 likes. There's got to be at least 40 other people that can hit the like button right now. So make sure you hit that like button. For good old Mark. See you, Jason. See you, James. See you, Mark. You have a good rest of y'all's week, too.
Hey. Great. Now he's gone. Thank God.
James, you were being asked about a coaches meeting in Jacksonville.
Yeah, something that Coach Norvell is doing I would like to thank the one of the most influential rappers to ever perform, and Uncle Luke Skywalker
Well,
and the commission. I don't know if y'all talked about the commission or whatever in the last couple of weeks, but it sparked a very creative and very interesting recruiting strategy that I believe that Coach Norvell has implied. He had a meeting down in Miami where he invited all the coaches, high school coaches, to come to come to a hotel, hang out with the Florida State coaching staff, ask questions, get a chance to meet them, because obviously he has guys with Florida ties, but not a lot of them. Then what ends up happening is he does the same thing in Broward County. He does the same thing in other places, and now he's doing that same thing in Jacksonville. This Sunday they're going to have. I believe most of the coaching staff is going to be there. I went over to Tallahassee last Friday after speaking in Pensacola with the Seminole Club. I got a chance to meet Coach Storms, our strength and conditioning coach, really good guy. Made me want to go work out. But he told me that Odell, I think, had knee replacement surgery, so I don't know if Odell will be there, but I believe everybody else will be there. Hopefully, our director of high school personnel, Coach Meatball, I forgot his Lock is something like that, but he's blocked me on Twitter, so I hope he's there. He don't have to see me. I need to know why I'm blocked, but why is a former player blocked? But I would love to go there and also encourage any Jacksonville coaches or anybody who's in the area, stop by. Just say you're a coach. They don't know. Get a chance to go meet the coaches.
Now I'm going to rip on Grandpa Luke for one moment. Shout out to Luther Campbell down here in the 305 and the 954. He made a big deal about saying that he was shutting down the coalition of coaches down here. First of all, the Norvell event was scheduled long before the coalition started and the coalition was organized. And I think what's hilarious is this coalition that he had saying that no players from down here were going to go to FSU, and immediately there's a transfer from Miami Central at Purdue who immediately transfers to Florida State. So I think that was hilarious. I think Grandpa at Edison High School, Miami Edison, shout out to the Red Raiders. I think he's still living like he's relevant, like it's 1992, and he's singing Judy.
I think what people have to understand is I know what, and I got some friends. I got Torian Bean, who coaches at Booker T. Washington, and they broke rank. And some other schools. What it is Florida State, we were the scapegoat for something that they've been feeling for a long time. And is it BS? 100% BS. The way recruiting goes now, I don't need to go on your campus to be able to recruit a kid. I can talk to them through Twitter. I can talk to them through that Snap thing, TikTok, Facebook, Call of Duty. There's so many different ways. Like, heck, that was Pimp's claim to fame, was recruiting Coach Dante Pimpleton's, who's now, I think he's going to have a job, I think West Kentucky, but he would talk to kids through Madden or Call of Duty, and now there's so many different ways that you can recruit. Now, what I would not discount is in those impoverished areas, the head coach's influence. So if it comes down to a true, like, it's a toss-up, it may hurt us, it may not. But one thing that cures everything is winning. When you're hot, everybody's going to want to come there. So, but there's ways to get around it. There's some really, really good prospects down in the Miami area, always traditionally. There's also really good prospects in Broward. There's really good prospects a little bit that aren't in the inner city schools that form the commission. And there's really good Tallahassee. To be honest with you, the biggest battlegrounds, and this is what messed up Tag last year, is there's some really big battles you got to win on I-10. Now, they won a real good one with Bradley Jennings. Excuse me, my bad. Bradley's the dad, but with Brandon Jennings, getting him to commit, that was huge. But you got a guy that was at my high school, Amari Harvey, who is a really big Florida lean. And you can't let guys come into the Big Bend and take the better players from out of your own backyard. See, if we actually focus on the real problem, is the fact is that Florida State isn't just putting up all the top players in the state of Florida and saying I have a chance to get them. That was when Jimbo was cooking, that's what Jimbo had. That's what Jimbo did a very good job of. Now, when Jimbo got distracted, he stopped doing as good of a job of that. But we got to get back to where we are competing for some of the biggest prospects in the state of Florida, starting in our own backyard with two really good prospects in Amari Harvey and Tyrion Arnold.
Well, we've talked about this for weeks and months now, and Mark Rogers, TV, The Voice of College Football, and you and I have talked about this, James, and Logan and I have talked about it. When Florida State was in the dynasty era in the late 80s and through the 90s, and I'll even say the first half of the 2000s era when you were playing there, when they were still winning the ACC, what were they doing? They were recruiting the state of Florida. Especially, they were coming down here, and yes, Miami was winning national titles in the 80s, but who was the school that was recruiting just as heavily in South Florida at the time? Florida State was able to come in and get guys from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and get them to come up to Tallahassee. When Jimbo first started in the 2000s, you had guys like LaMarcus Joyner. You had guys like Kelvin Benjamin. You had Devontae Freeman. You had Dalvin Cook. All these guys from the Tri-County area down here who was going up there. And then what happened when Florida State in the 2000s started to get more of these national guys, started to recruit more of a national brand. Same thing with the Jimbo era after the title, started recruiting a little bit more national. Willie started recruiting a little bit more outside of this area. If Mike Norvell is intelligent, he's going to recruit down here, and I'm going to be biased down here. South Florida is the area that they need to recruit. They need to get down here, get in here. There are guys. Luther Campbell can sit there at Miami Edison and say, I'm not going to let Florida State take any of my players. And if Florida State recruits a player from his school and says, we're going to offer you the scholarship, you better be for damn sure that that player is more than likely going to go to Florida State. They're going to do what's in their best interest. And Florida State
that's the biggest
best interest than FAU or FIU. That's just a fact.
The biggest thing is they're going to do what's in their best interest. And what Mike has to do is continue to strengthen not just in Miami, your Miami connections, but also your Florida connections. The one thing that I've noticed, I can't speak for every school because I don't know. I do have a good amount of friends now as I get older that are former players from Florida, that are former players from Miami. But I do know a lot of former Florida State players are heavily involved in coaching in the state of Florida. And if Mike is really one thing Tag talked about doing, and I'm not 100% sure that there wasn't an open door policy with Tag. I got everything I wanted to get to when I got to Florida State. So much so that it pissed off a lot of the other writers that I was able to use my former player experience to be able to get access that they didn't get access to. They're reporting from the outside. I get to report from the inside. It's just, but like I always suggest, if you don't like it, you could have did Matt drills like I did Matt drills. But I would suggest that, you do go and develop these relationships with the players. You have a pipeline in Jacksonville and Trinity Christian where Gerard Ross is one of the coaches, and he was a DB at Florida State. And they've produced that right now. Ohio State goes in there and gets whatever the hell it is that they want. You got to be able to stop that. Down in Miami, you've got Marvin Jones, who has a son that's a big-time prospect. Offer him, bring him in. It's not going to kill anything. Like, you want Marvin Jones on your side down that way. You want guys who have connections to the kids and that can go and speak to what their experiences were in Florida State. So, at Florida State. So those are the things I believe Coach Norvell can do. Continue to reach out, continue to build those things because, like when I was with a bunch of alumni this weekend, we were all sharing our love for our university. Now we all do other things. I cover national college football on a national level in the NFL. But when it comes down to my alma mater, I won't lie. There is some implicit bias because I want my school to do well. But when I'm talking to a kid about my time at Florida State, and I can tell them that you have the fullback, as people like to call me, that's known, which I can't speak for other schools to where there's a guy who's only scored 10 touchdowns in his career, where people actually, really know who he is and enjoy watching him play. But if you go and do what you're supposed to do, it's all about life after football. So I think Coach Norvell needs to continue to make those things, continue to make it like a fraternity of which it is. And I believe you'll see that along with winning, you'll see the recruiting pick up. If Norvell gets if Norvell gets 8 or 9 wins, which is extremely doable with this schedule, I think you'll see the 2021 recruiting and the 2022 recruiting be through the roof. You'll see probably a 2021 recruiting class probably finish around 12 with the ability to be top 10 with the momentum going into 2022 with having a top 10 class.
And James hit the nail on the head, and it just has to be said. Winning solves everything. If Florida State goes out this season, and like James said with it, if Florida State ends this regular season, let's say 9-3, which is possible. I'm not going to make a prediction at this point because we have 7 months to go, but it's possible. Florida State could be 9-3 going into the bowl game. If that happens, you are going to see a complete 180 in how people react. The coalitions will all of a sudden become, sure, come on down, Coach Norvell, come on down, Coach Higgins, come on down, Coach Dugans, to Miami, to Fort Lauderdale, to Orlando, to Tampa, to Fort Myers, over to Jacksonville. All of a sudden, things will change. Now, if Florida State is 6-6, once again, then you're going to see a lot of the same. So that's going to be our big thing right there, is just winning. We have to do it ourselves. We have to. This Florida State team in 2020 has to do it themselves. They have to go out and beat West Virginia. And the problem is we sat here and we did the same thing. I'll 100% say I'm guilty of it in 2018 when Coach Taggart came in. I was guilty of it this year in 2019. We sat there and said, oh, this is what Florida State's going to do over the course of the year. Florida State is not in a position right now where they can look and say, this is what we're going to do for the year. They've got to take this one game at a time, because if they look past West Virginia can beat Florida State. And then you're setting up where you're once again starting a season 0-1 going, here we go again. It's the fourth straight season of losing our opening game. So it's like, okay, just take it focused by that one. And then you go on, you play Sanford the next game. Then you go to Boise State. Then all of a sudden you're 3-0. If you're 3-0 going into the bye week, it's a completely different story than what could possibly be a third straight season of being 1-2.
So Nucky Johnson commented a few times here. He's left a lot of nice comments, and I want to get one in because he's asking both of you to name your favorite signee.
Demore Tate, the best player in our class. It's my favorite signee. Everybody else is my bad. Brian Robinson, big Brian Robinson fan. I think he could play. I think he could play for But outside of that, I think I have a different view on recruiting than what a lot of people have. I don't think Norvell did a bad job of recruiting, but I think and I don't blame 100% on him. But my new take now is the standard is the standard. And you either live to the standard or you don't. Now, there's expectations, but that does not change the standard. And I know for a fact we have 4 4-stars that we left on the table that ended up going to other places that you cannot have, that were in the bag. And we upgraded a coach. So in a coach that had a plan, a true plan. Not just talked about having a plan like Tag did, but had a true plan. You should not lose a Keyshawn Green to Nebraska, who is arguably in a worse position than what you are, and is in your backyard with the Big Ben. When there was a lot of, from what I understand, was the miscommunication. That's a 4-star. You do not lose, even though Jalen Knighton, I can understand. We probably had too much up in the air, but that same weekend that he went and wowed Brian Robinson is the same weekend that we had opportunity to wow Jalen Knighton, and we did not. It just didn't happen. Morven Joseph had decommitted for a while, but you got to get Morven Joseph, and you can't lose with Malachi Wideman. Those are 4 4-stars that if we sign those guys, our class is a top 12 class. Those are 4 impact guys. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Corey Wren is a guy that will come in and be able to do some big things, but I'll know more. Let me backtrack. I know Robinson can ball. I know Tate can ball. I have to see with my own eyes what this scheme looks like before I can tell you more about what these other developmental players are. Now, Mike does a phenomenal job of developing talent, but historically, his weakness is recruiting. I believe this last class that he had was number 2 in the AAC, and that was the first time. But traditionally, the other 3 years, he was middle of the pack AAC. That won't get it done at Florida State. Now, what I do think, he has a couple ace recruiters, and he can follow the Mullen strategy, take what we have, develop it, put them in really, really good positions, win, and then you'll see the logo kind of recruit guys. But at this point, I will say I was disappointed. Like, even if we would have got 2 of those 4, but I was definitely disappointed in losing some of the guys. Even though I think, was it Wren that bumped up to a 4-star at the end?
Wren did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I like Wren. I like the guys, but it's not a. There's some guys that I don't think will those are the two guys, Robinson and Tate, who I believe will make an immediate impact.
Yeah, Weidman to me going to Tennessee there was disappointing. I thought last week I thought he would go to FSU. I thought he would sign with FSU. To me, I feel like Tennessee is in kind of the same position as FSU, so I feel like why would you go there, especially when you've got the ability to play both basketball and football, and with all due respect, we have a better basketball team right now. Basketball team got screwed by the refs last night against Duke, but we won't go there. With that one, that was a foul. Late that should have been called on Duke. But moving on, back to football here. Sorry, I had to get one moment there because Mark hates when we talk basketball here on the feed. But that one got me. I think Knighton, I think he was going to leave no matter what in covering him down here. He was more of a I'm going to commit to the moment to FSU at the time. So when he switched over, that one was not shocking to me. As far as my South Florida bias, I'll admit I have it. So I love Brian Robinson. I think that he has a potential to either I don't want to say start, but if he comes in and does well, I think he could get a lot of playing time in that opener against West Virginia. The guy I'm looking for the most is another one of those 4-star guys is linebacker Steven Dix Jr. He signed with the Seminoles out of Orlando. To me, I think he's the most important because of the position. Because this is and James, you and I talked about this before the 2019 season even started, that we had a lot of questions about the linebacker position, and I would argue that Dontavius Jackson was the most disappointing player based on the hype going into 2019 with what the result ended up
being. Did you see
being.
his highlight film that somebody put on Twitter? That's the second worst highlight film I've ever seen to Rohan Marley.
With this great
it's a really bad, really bad highlight.
The spring game footage is amazing when you have to use your own spring game footage. So, but that to me is where I think Steven Dix Jr. is going to be the question. Can he come in? He's got the physical body. He's got the size you want for that linebacker position. Can he come in here? And I'm going to throw out names. Can he end up being like a Marvin Jones, like a Derek Brooks, like an Ernie Sims from our era when we were in school? Can he end up being one of those guys and end up leaving FSU as one of the better linebackers of all time? At this point, can he play the linebacker position? Because there were a lot of times where, and I said this over the season, show me 3 linebackers who could play for FSU. And there were a lot of times where, with all due respect to guys like Brooks' son, to guys like Jackson, there were times where it didn't look like they had 3 decent linebackers.
I think this is the first time in 6 to 8 years that we've actually had a real linebacker coach. Mm-hmm. All respect to Coach Woody. He's a phenomenal recruiter. He could sell a ketchup popsicle to a lady in white gloves. That being said, he's not a very good coach. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful manner. He just does not develop. And it's difficult when the guy before him that was a linebacker coach wasn't any good either. Now, I will say, I can't think of his name. We joke and we have nicknames. If you're not in the 5th quarter, it might be the best $5 you've ever spent just for entertainment value. We have nicknames for all coaches. Coach Norvell is White Mike because he had the cornrows and he's white and his name is Mike. In the hood, we have a ton of Mikes. There's Asian Mike, there's Puerto Rican Mike, Mike, which is typically black, and then there's White Mike, and that's who Coach Norvell is. But we call it the linebacker coach called him Nostradamus. He has a very large nose, and he's really, really, but he's a really, really good coach. When you look at what he's developed at Vanderbilt, two NFL linebackers, we haven't had a real NFL linebacker at Florida State in a while. I'll give Telvin Smith his props. He might be the last real one we've had. Mm-hmm. So if he can come in and get these guys to bite. Now, I will say that guys like Lundy, guys like some of these kids, at least their rankings aren't very high, but they bite. Now, if the dog don't bite as a puppy, it ain't going to bite when it's full grown. So I can't knock that. I need strikers. And so if we got strikers and he can help them go in the right, learn how to run fit and go in the right hole, that alone will win you games. To go back to Dontavius Jackson, there's a clip that somebody put in the Virginia game where if he hits the right hole and the right run fit, he stops the quarterback from getting in the game and probably knocks him out, which can completely change the game. Virginia, Wake Forest, those are 2 wins. If you make Boise, that's 3 wins. All you have to do is make a stop, just one stop, and that comes from better development. So I think better coaching can make these guys who we would not normally take at Florida State into Florida State players eventually because they may have the attitude. And attitude reflects the coaching staff and the culture that is around there. And continuity and the fact that most of these guys have all coached together will make it a lot better environment to be around. The one thing that Tag never was able to get off the ground was having a coaching staff that actually I hate to maybe go out the way and say liked each other, because that's just what it didn't look like. And so right now it looks like you have some guys that can develop, but I'm not 1,000% sure that there's just a bunch of guys that just stick out to me. Like
My argument against Dontavius Jackson would be he almost cost us the Monroe game that we ended up winning in overtime by a point. He almost cost us that game and that one. And our nickname was always Paul Wall. You'll appreciate that one because you're the same age as me. Paul Wall was a rapper for Mark Rogers TV from Houston, Texas.
The People's Champ.
Where
Paul Wall, baby, the People's Champ.
Swishahouse, 7 on 4 fours, ripped in 4 fours. Look it up, YouTube people. Look it up there. You're looking
Silence. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is our Florida State show each and every Tuesday night. And as you can see, I do very little work, which is a good thing. We let these guys go and talk Florida State football unless Jason gets off the rails and I need to steer him back on with a little correction on the national scene. Sometimes I got to do that.
Look at Paul Wall.
James, we've kicked this around the last few weeks because people can't get off of it. And of course, it's the quarterback position, so people want to know. So we've talked enough about it, but who is going to be the quarterback, in your opinion, in 2020?
James Blackman. Sorry. Nothing else. I mean, he didn't bring in a grad transfer, and I like Tate Rodemaker. I really do like Tate. I just don't think Tate comes in the spring and beats out James Blackman. If Purdy was here as an early enrollee, I would argue say that, but I don't think a guy is going to come in the summer and beat out two guys. I think that Purdy Rodemaker situation will be a lot like the Hockman James Blackman situation a few years back. But I think if James Blackman is a better quarterback with a competent offensive coordinator, there was just no rhyme or reason with how we ran stuff. No matter what you think happened last year, and there was a lot of rumors that really life when you saw the season play out just did not make sense. But Kendall Brow's quarterbacks all look the same. They all look bad. And even if he didn't call the plays, hypothetically speaking, his job as the quarterback coach was to develop the quarterback. And there was nothing that looked competent about the quarterback. So if Dillingham is what he's supposed to be, and he's able to coordinate the offense, and Mike is able to put the offense in the best situations when you have a bad offensive line, that means quick passing game to give your offensive line confidence. That means a lot of motions. That means a lot of getting the ball into your playmaker's hands so that in space. I believe James Blackman can be serviceable. He's not a national championship winning quarterback, but you're not going to put a true freshman out there in that game. I think a lot of people, yes, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen with really established teams as well. You've also seen when a quarterback plays too early, it messes that quarterback up. Again, James Blackman. There's so much that goes on. The speed of the game is so much faster than when you played in high school. And I think guys are too used to playing the video game. As a guy who played as a true freshman, that first game, the perfect example, the best movie that summed this up. Any given Sunday, when Jamie Foxx first took the field and all he saw was flashes. That's what it's like playing from high school, no matter how elite your high school is. But playing from high school to playing the elite teams. My first game when I broke my red shirt, my true freshman year, was against the Miami team that went to the national championship. I've done the math. I played against 14 first-round draft picks on defense, not all defense and offense, not total draft picks. 14 first-round draft picks on defense. I played against an NFL squad my first game out, and it was very difficult to catch the pace. Now, as the more games I played, the game slowed down a little bit. So imagine that was as a fullback. Now imagine with a quarterback who, from Mike Norvell's words, from what he told Jeff Sims, I need my quarterback to be an extension of me. So just listening to what Coach Norvell has said, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. If the quarterback is the extension of him, he's going to need somebody who A, has experience, and has the team, and B, has the team, and then C, can actually execute that. I believe the other guys can eventually get the team and eventually execute it, but that experience is what is the calming effect. Now, if he can get James Blackman to mature in his mannerisms, James Blackman can be a decent quarterback. And this is what people forget. You actually have 2 more years with James Blackman. So if James Blackman goes out and leads FSU to a 9-win season, now we should go ahead and expedite what our expectations would be for the 2021 season. Because he's going to have to come back. He doesn't have enough good film to have a big time season and lead to the NFL.
James, we only have a couple minutes left, but I'm going to ask you this question. We've talked about it before. Logan and I have talked about it. Mark and I have talked about it. What about Jordan Travis? He was the flavor of the week against Boston College. He scored the touchdown against Florida. Kind of the sexy. He's the kind of the flavor, and there's a lot of sentiment about wanting to see more out of him. My argument has been I haven't seen enough out of passing to trust him that he can overtake James Blackman's start. What does he need to do this spring to give himself a legitimate shot at starting the opener against West Virginia?
Prove that he can throw the ball. We saw against Arizona State when he tried to throw the ball, it doesn't look pretty. Now, as far as athleticism, he has all of that. But everybody talked about, and this is what's fun about our beat, the only people who get held accountable is me because they all gang up on me. But we've heard that he needs an athletic quarterback. He needs a pro-style quarterback. He needs this. He needs that. Blah blah blah. A lot of shit proving that a lot of these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. Mike Norvell adjusts his system based upon who he puts out there. His words. But if Jordan Travis can't really, we didn't see him throw it, so I got to see him be able to throw in rhythm, be able to be consistent, and not just be able to use his legs, which are a true threat. Now, if he's able to do that, then God bless, he has a chance. But I don't think he's shown enough to me from what I've seen in the season. But that's the beautiful part about spring and having open quarterback competitions. We'll get an opportunity to see who can run this system. But I would take Travis over the two incoming freshmen as well.
We talk Florida State football every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And so just in addition to you making an appointment with us, we would love for you to get out there, talk to other college football fans, not just Florida State fans, because if you look at the live chat, everybody jumps in from all sorts of fan bases. So definitely get out there on social media, talk to your family, your friends, and other acquaintances. Let them know we're here every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time talking Florida State football. And on that lucky week, every so often, we got big game James Coleman jumping in with us, as well as Jason Parker from NBC6.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, Logan Robinson from Noel Game Day. And of course, Jason, a perfect 38 for 38.
I gotta break that streak sometime. So.
No, you're not breaking that streak.
Great.
We need you here.
No, I'm stuck forever. Thanks.
All right. You guys, we appreciate it. Know you got a ton going on, and for you guys to stop by for an hour plus is awesome.
Anything for you, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football?
Do we know when spring practice starts? Typical, mid-March, something in that range?
Somebody said March 7th.
So we got about a month, a little less than a month. So I would love to start getting some previews in on, what you guys are looking for the spring. We've got a couple weeks to do that.
So we have homework now?
Sounds good to me.
No, you guys just let it fly. I know that better than that. No homework here. All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great week.
All right, Mark.
We'll see you back here. And everybody else, we will see you next time. And of course, we've got all sorts of videos posted, live streams from, in addition to our Florida State, Ohio State, Miami. Yes, Jason?
No, I was just pointing the spear out. Everyone loves
There's the spear, of course. Yeah, they love the spear, and we can finally see it now with the picture configuration. That, yes, as Jason highly touted, we do have a Virginia Tech live stream that was released a few days ago.
Sorry.
I would think that you would be less happy about the Miami live stream that we do each and every week.
I'm used to hearing the Miami spiel and the Miami crap all the time, so that's what I'm used to hearing. So,
well, we're kicking it around to other teams, other programs, and we'll see what sticks.
All right.
I don't think it's going to be Virginia Tech.
I'll give it a shot. I'll listen to it. I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Jason, it's always much appreciated, sir.
All the best. Let's do number 39 next week.
number 39. We will be here. See you guys later. I'm going to get some of these comments to the screen because they well deserve it. Don't want to sell you guys short here. Fear the Spear, of course, from Mike, who's a Knoll fan to the core. J Jobs, the Spear sucks. So we got one up and one down for the Spear.
Fire his ass.
And of course, 904 Hurricane. Before you let it go right here, of course, hit the like button. And obviously, this is the big deal that we typically have our most people on the line, as you know, Jason, at the end of the broadcast. So there's so many people that miss the analysis. So if you got in here late, you wait for the video to post and you watch it and watch what you missed.
It's Virginia Tech fans. They're here for the Virginia Tech segment.
Got to hear from those Virginia Tech fans. Absolutely.
Hokey.
All right. We'll see everybody next time.